beauty! What a head, son! What a head!
Welcome back to Onto the Ball. I'm your host, Scott Nico, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Travis Morgan, and we're joined for the second time in a row. Don't get used to it, guys. He's only on summer holiday. He's a headmaster. He dresses like a headmaster. Trav, he's dressed like Fabrizio Romano. Look at him. It's a Thursday afternoon, and he's wearing a shirt, and we're in our sport rig out.
Same trim and everything. It's killing me, mate.
I'm ready for the here we go. Endo.
Endo. Wataru Endo is signing. Here we go. News just confirmed it. But yeah, Liverpool fan new. He hasn't put Arsenal fan in his bio, but that's okay. I'm sure you can figure out by the pink and white striped shirt. Right, boys, we're back. It's Thursday afternoon. What a week it's been again in the transfer market. Liverpool of doing what they've been doing. They've been ending lives, ending my life for the last 5 days. It's nearly a week now since the news broke that we'd put in a world record bid for Moises Caicedo. How life has changed in the last 6 days since that announcement. The excitement of me Friday morning. My hopes were dashed by the time I was eating my pot noodle for lunch Friday afternoon. By Friday evening, he was nailed on a cert to go to Chelsea. And now what are we left with? Picking up the pieces, scratching around for bargain bin replacements, targets, and it's landed on Wataru Endo. No, I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know about you guys, but apparently his dad was a baller. Nint.
It took me a while to
figure
that one out, you know.
It was a creeper.
Honestly.
It's killing me now.
His dad, Nintendo, was a player. But yeah, listen, last night, me and the missus were watching a box set, and halfway through it, I fancied a cup of tea. Who doesn't love a cup of tea with a box set? So I crept off to the kitchen. I was like, just pause it, babe. I'm going to make a cup of tea. Happened to go on Twitter, and this 30-year-old signing medical Fabrizio Romano gas had blown. And I was literally in the kitchen with the kettle boiling, and I was tweeting away. And she was like, Scott, come on, where's the tea? Let's carry on with the box set. And I was like, just a minute, sweetheart. And I'm tweeting all my venom, like, who the hell is this 30-year-old? This is like Christian Poulsen in 2011, Roy Hodgson. Honestly, I was absolutely fuming, and I still am. Obviously, Twitter, if you go onto Twitter and read too much in there, obviously you get the top reds are like, let's give him a chance. You know, don't judge him until he's put on the red shirt and all that. And it's like, this was supposed to be a midfield rebuild. And now it's the 20th of August in a day or two. 20th of August, we've signed two signings. May I point out that them two signings are both release clauses. We didn't even need a director of football. What are we negotiating when it's a release clause? I mean, you tell me. Now, this Wataru Endo, 30-year-old, you don't need to be negotiating there. If you're 30 years old, you've been dead in the Bundesliga for 4 years. No one's ever heard of you, apart from my boy Football Ferreira. If he comes on the stream, he knows him. You know, this isn't filling me with any kind of optimism at all. And then obviously, of course, look, if he's a James Milner replacement, a utility man in the squad, in the team to fill in left, right, and centre, I can take it. But you see, if this is the last signing of the window, and FSG put their checkbook away, and that £111 million for Caicedo magically disappears, and it was only 16 million for Wataru Endo, I might seriously consider giving up watching football and taking up cricket. That is how I'm feeling right now. But Jurgen Klopp, please, I will never turn against Jurgen Klopp, ever. Fact. But there comes a point where he has got to look at the shit sandwich he's been served up and be like, I can't do this anymore. This is an impossible task. It's a poisoned chalice. People are out there signing Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, Romeo Lavia, Declan Rice. And we're scooping the barrel for these 16 million pound 30-year-olds in the Bundesliga. I am lost for words, and the anger hasn't subsided. So basically, we're going to go through it in the next 45 minutes to an hour. Hopefully, you two will make me feel better. And then the missus is out working tonight. So I've got 2 hours after this stream. I'm going to end this stream and I'm going to go and watch the last half an hour of that box set. Because when I went back with my cup of tea and watched the last half hour, I ain't got a clue what happened.
Properly, did you?
I didn't watch it. And she could tell. She was like, oh, it's a bit of a whodunit. Do you think it's her that's done it? And I'm like, yeah, probably. I ain't got a clue, man. I need to watch it this half an hour and catch up, just so that when she wants to watch the next episode tonight, I'm like, yeah, babe, I know exactly what was happening.
It sounds a bit like the Liverpool saga. You haven't got a clue what's happening there either. It's like the box set. Who did it? Was it?
It's another who done it. I'll tell you who it wasn't. George Schmadka, right? Because he's in Ibiza, probably at O Beach with Wayne Lineker, with his feet up, with an orange cup in his hand, thinking, I've been paid for my 3 months' work. I'm out of there soon, so I don't really care. Travis, Endo. Yeah, you ever heard of him? You're a FIFA man. You're a resident FIFA player. You know every player on this planet. Tell me you've heard of him.
Just take the O off his surname, man. It's the end. It's the end for Liverpool, mate. I'm telling you now. That signing signified the end. I'm telling you. I've not even heard of this player, and that might be bad ball knowledge for me, but this one's even stumped me. I don't know a lot about this player at all. But what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing on Twitter is that he's quite highly rated. Got a lot of lungs, can run for fun. Good protector, apparently, decent passing range, but I don't really know much about him. It's very much against Liverpool's general philosophy of trying to build teams. A 30-year-old, 16 million. It just goes against the grain massively. So you're obviously not broke. You put in a world record, British record fee for Caicedo, or was it a fake bid? We don't know. We don't know how much money you've got. But to me, it's a very surprising signing. It's not at all what the fans envisaged after going for Caicedo and Lavia. And if this is the final signing for Liverpool, I can see uproar within the fan base without a shadow of a doubt. But I just don't see how you recover from this.
I don't see how the fans won't riot. They will want to know where the other 85 million is, surely. If we had it for Caicedo and we only signed 16 million Endo, I nearly called him Enzo there because Dan from Two Blues in there saying they've signed Enzo. Oh, wait. Absolutely heartbreaking. When you think of that meme as well that was doing the rounds on Twitter around Christmas time, Liverpool's rebuild, and it was Enzo Fernandez, Jude Bellingham, and Moises Caicedo. We didn't get any of them. None of them.
How far away is it from that? It's just shocking, man.
And 2 of them are gone to Chelsea.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be the end of your business. I do genuinely think it'll be the start. But I just think it will be the start of your Endos coming in. I think you'll end up scattergunning, panic buying. Yeah, there'll be some random signings that you just think, and we spent money. We brought 3 or 4 in, but it will just be, like I said in the last podcast, I just think you'll start scattergunning and buying random players, and it's proved it. You couldn't get a bigger drop off from Caicedo down to Lavia, down to this Endo. Like I said, I think we all pride ourselves on having good ball knowledge, good European ball knowledge of knowing players that are out there that you get excited about, that maybe people who just watch the Prem haven't heard of. But even I haven't heard of him. Neither's Trav heard of him. I watch quite a bit of foreign football. So yeah, he might be a bit of a journeyman, steady Eddie, but is he going to come into the Prem, time to settle in, a team that's not doing that well anyway, that the pressure's on? It all smacks of panic. He obviously wasn't the first choice.
The thing that you guys probably don't know, because you're not on Twitter every minute of every day watching Liverpool stuff, is that this George Schmadka is from Stuttgart. So he's literally, the whole transfer window is crumbling around him. And he's like, I'll just nip to my old club and get a bit of an engine, a bit of a James Milner replacement, someone who will win the bleep test every summer.
It's literally a case of
ball playing.
Yeah, basically. Anyone else, last resort, pure last resort. Do us a favor, mate. It's one of them, ain't it? Do us a favor. Go back to the old directors and that sort us out. We're scrambling around. We can't get any of our original targets. And yeah, like you said, it's desperate times. It really is desperate times. And like you said, now I think there's been rumours that Liverpool want a right-sided centre back. I think you've been linked with a right back as well, but I don't like to say who's out there. That's not the issue at the moment. I think it's the time you're leaving it now. You've played your cards just so incorrectly. Like you're letting everybody know that you got loads of money. So anyone that you go in for now, you just slap an extra 20, 30 million on the fee now. You're not going to get anyone cheap between now and the end of the window, and they're going to be second rate as well. So I think you've left yourselves in a little bit of a pickle.
Well, that's the thing. Apparently, we're going big for this Chait Doucouré from Crystal Palace, but the price that's getting quoted now, 70 million. I mean, they bought him for, I think it was 18 million 12 months ago.
It's definitely not worth
that. Enzo Fernandez went to Benfica 12 months ago, or 18 months ago now, for 15 million. Moises Caicedo went to Brighton 2 years ago for 5 million.
I think you need to
buy. Where is the scouting network?
Yeah. That's it.
Do you think this is the end of us as a force in the Premier League?
I think. Yeah, go on.
And obviously the end of Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big factor. But I'll go back to what I was saying. He seems dejected. He seems a bit perplexed with what's going on at the club. That's just from the outside looking in, the interviews I've seen him doing. I think he had a rough ride last year. And like you say, if he can't see the vision or the project at the club, if he's thinking I've got to do a rebuild, but I'm not being given the resources, if that's the way you see it, then there are other jobs out there for him. You know, Liverpool isn't the only gig in town. So I don't know if it's. I think you'll be up and around, you know, the top 13. So I think you'll be all right there.
I'm laughing, but I'm not disagreeing, man.
But
if you sign 16-year-old, 30-year-olds, 16 million pound 30-year-olds from a different league who got with no Premier League experience, it's a recipe for disaster. Christian Poulsen, how did he fare when he came to the Premier League in 2011? I'll tell you how he fared. He had about 6 games, got found out. Everyone knew he was absolute trash, and he got absolutely slaughtered on the fan forums, and he barely played for us ever again. We let him go for free. That was like 12 million pound down the drain, which was quite a lot. 12 years ago.
If you look at the Prem this season, you've obviously got City, Arsenal, and you would say are your 2 front runners. Newcastle have, you know, they bought well again. Tonoli looks like a good player, got a good manager. Then you've got United, you know, there's that resurgence under them. So that's kind of, if you're looking at sort of top 4 is where top 4 is. Yeah, Brighton are on the up.
Villa, I know they got spanked.
Villa are on the up. So you're probably genuinely in that bracket.
Chelsea.
Around Chelsea.
I think Chelsea are going to be right up there. They're signing too many ballers, certified ballers now.
And they've got no European football, so they've got a straight run at the Prem. So in all seriousness, you're probably sitting, so if you put them as the top 5, you're probably sitting in that next bracket of, I know we had a bit of banter last year, duking it out with your Brightons, but you're probably sitting in that pocket for the Europa Conference League, Europa League space. That's where at the moment, I think you're only going to bring in more of these Endo type players. I think you're going to go scattergun and maybe bring in probably another 3 or 4 by the end of the window. But whether you're going to be blown away by any of them, most of the decent players are gone already. They've already moved. So Bellingham's moved, Rice has moved, you know, Caicedo's moved. Start looking at defenders, Lavia, Timber's moved. The big clubs have already done their business early. So there isn't much then around, it seems at the moment, to pick up on. Anybody else is then going off to Saudi. So you've got players that are just leaving for money there. Even if you were going to the next tranche down of players, some of the top Wolves players, for example, off to Saudi, they've gone. So I think it's difficult for you. That's before you then put into the big foreign clubs. So PSG and Bayern and Dortmund and Real Madrid, obviously taking their pickings. So I can't really see where, like you said, where's the scouting network? Where are Liverpool now with 10 days to go in the window? Where are they going to go? If a top player becomes available, the likelihood is one of those other clubs are going to snap them up. You know, they're still talking about Arsenal maybe bringing in 1 or 2. But I do think there are players out there to give you a little bit of glass half full. Like that Kudus from Ajax. It's been touted that he's going to end up at a West Ham or a Brighton. That would be a travesty. Diaby's just gone to Villa. Like there are players out there for 40, 35 to 50 million that Liverpool could be getting. That Diaby's going to tear the Premier League up. It's a travesty he's gone there. He'll be going for 80, 90 million in his, the next round of sales. But I just don't. It doesn't seem like Liverpool have got that structure there to be saying, okay, well, let's know where we are at the moment. We're not going to compete at the moment with the top clubs. So let's go for that next bracket down. And almost like you did when Salah came in and Mane came in, and that period where you built, you almost need to go back to that model a bit and forget your Bellinghams and getting the fans all hyped that you're going to spend 100 million on your Caicedos and rebuild like you did 5-6 years ago when Klopp first came in.
That's it. You've hit the nail on the head. We just haven't got the structure anymore. We haven't got a director of football. We've gone through 3 directors of football. Schmadke will leave. We'll have no director of football. The club are getting big earners off the wage bill. Obviously, from a Liverpool fan, you're hoping this is gearing up towards a sale, but I'll believe it when I see it. FSG, I don't think are going to be going anywhere. But yeah, I mean, like you say, to me, we're either going for these like ballers, like obviously Darwin Núñez. We'll make one marquee signing this year. It's Szoboszlai. We got McAllister on a cheap release clause, which was fantastic business. But then after that, we signed the likes of Carvalho or Harvey Elliott for 5 million, taking them really young off of other clubs. But they don't take that gamble in the middle, like you were just alluding to, Neil. And kind of like what we did when FSG first took over, when we nearly won the league 13-14, our summer transfer window was abysmal. We signed, I think it was Luis Alberto. Let me know if any of you remember these. Luis Alberto, Iago Aspas, Ali Sissoko on loan. Like, they were all these little nuggets that they were hoping that Brendan Rodgers would be able to coach into a bit of a certified baller, and none of them did. They probably cost us the league, to be honest, because
Mohamed Saka in that as well.
No, he come in the January. And to be fair, he done not too bad. He ended the season, him and Skirtle at centre back, but in the summer, it was signing these 7-8 million gambles, and none of them paid off. But right now, that kind of money now is to sign a 20, 25, 30 million gamble and hope they hit the ground running, hope that Klopp can nurture them into a top baller in the Premier League. And I guess that brings it on to Man United and this Amrabat, Trav. We've been linked with him the last couple of days. Like, we want to be kept in the loop if he becomes available, steal him from under the noses of Man United. Again, it's the kind of price that, would it be a gamble bringing him in? He's 26 now. You're always wary of a player that's had a great World Cup or a great tournament.
A flash in the pan.
Replicate a flash in the pan. You know, no one's heard of him since. I don't know about you, Trav, but yeah, on Man United, this Amrabat, what is going on? Can you not afford him? Do you need McTominay to leave, Maguire to leave? What's the hold up? I think he wants to go Man United, don't he?
Yeah, he's agreed for Man United. He's holding out for Man United. What I've heard is that we sort of need to get rid of Donny van de Beek. Fred's gone. I think Van de Beek's the big one that we need to make, the sale or the loan. Or I think originally it started off as a permanent, then it's gone to a little bit of a loan, and it's a little bit indifferent, and it's gone a little bit slow now. And I think the fan base is starting to get a little bit restless with it. My big argument is like how we're going to play. I mean, we've just spent 60 million on Mason Mount to be a number 8. Now we want to bring in another number 8. Then we've been linked to Gravenberch also today as well. He's another number 8. So it's like everyone.
Liverpool's Gravenberch. Apparently, we're getting him.
This is it. And I think the names are just doing the rounds. I think it's agents playing games, just chucking names out there saying, if you don't hurry up, my client's going to go somewhere else. I think Amrabat's more or less nailed on to go United, to be fair.
I think he's just waiting for some outs.
Yeah, I think the agreement's been in place for quite some time. And I think when we get a couple of sales in, most notably Donny van de Beek, I think he'll be the one that will sort of trigger that. But yeah, I can't really put my finger on it. I don't know what they're waiting for. If personal terms are agreed and they've got the money like they say they have, why not just do the business? But it might be on Fiorentina. You don't know. Have they got a replacement for him? There's so many factors that go into a transfer. Sometimes it can take longer, but you know what United are like. I mean, we started off the transfer window quite brightly in terms of how quickly we did the business, and now it's slowed down. And I think there's a little bit of anxiety setting into the fan base now that we just need to get 1 or 2 over the line. I mean, you could see on Monday night that we are a little bit short of quality, even though that was his first choice midfield and it's one game and you don't want to like over panic. But I think longer term, with the depth of the squad, we do need a couple more names, I would say, before the window shuts.
Is Amrabat on a release clause?
No. I don't think so. No, he hasn't got
Again,
released.
it's like, is that just the press quoting 35 million? Who knows? When it comes to it, they might say, yeah, he's available 60 million. That would definitely rule Liverpool out, and I presume Man United as well, unless they can get your boy Harry Maguire off the wage bill. We're going to move on to Harry Maguire in a second. Let me just jump into the comments. Daniel's back. Cheers for joining us again, Daniel. Top man, Reece James, injured again. My boy from Two Blues, Dan's in the comments as well. He was texting me about it today. Is it 3 months he's out for?
Is he out for 3 months?
I think so. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, or Daniel. I think that's what they said, but he just can't avoid injury. Reece James. He's turning into Joel Matip or Rafa Varane or
he's unreal,
Darren Anderton. Who remembers Darren Anderton?
Darren Anderton, yeah, Ledley King.
Pixie's in. Cheers for joining, Pixie. My little daughter, 30-year-old, he will gas out. She knows a ball. Either she knows a ball or she's been listening to her dad. Daniel, Liverpool grabbing onto anything now. Oh, absolutely, mate. I've done a short on it. We're going to throw CDM idol. Just line up a load of CDMs and pick them. Get Simon Cowell and Louis Walsh to pick the best suited one to Liverpool and grab that number 6 shirt. Dan's in. How you doing, Dan? Yes, Reece James could be out for up to 3 months. Done his hamstring in training. Oh,
you're lucky they've got the other right, that Gusto. He can play there, and he's top draw. But it's a big blow to Reece James. Just been named skipper. First match against Liverpool, he was outstanding. And like you said, he makes a huge difference when he's in the side. So he's going to be a big miss for Chelsea.
Oh, huge. He is. He's top draw. We've got 9 people watching. Cheers for joining, guys. Let us know in the comments why you're here. Liverpool, Arsenal, Man U. Let us know what you think of Amrabat to Man U or Liverpool. Endo. I keep nearly saying Enzo. I wish, Dan. Endo to Liverpool. And Harry Maguire not leaving Man United. Trav, take it away. What is wrong with... Neil, I seen your comment on Instagram today. What is wrong with Man United? Take the 30 million and give Harry 10 million. They've got a 20 million profit. What is going on here? It's unreasonable to expect Harry Maguire to leave 200k a week, Neil, to take up 100k a week at West Ham, isn't it? Yeah. Just like, oh yeah, sound, I'll cut my wage in half. Cheers.
Yeah, I'll let you go, Trav, first. But to me, it just seems a bit short-sighted from the club. I know sometimes when you look at it, Arsenal have shipped some players on, when we got rid of Aubameyang, and this isn't a terminating a contract, but you're getting that massive amount of money off the books. You're getting a player that really is putting negative energy on the manager, on the club, because whilst he's there, he's this big sort of circus anyway. So that's worth its weight in gold. And I think West Ham initially came in with a 15 to 20 million pound bid. Just accept it. Take that bit of money. Accept the fact that you're getting 200 million off the 200,000 a week off the wage bill. Just let him go. Harry Maguire can then negotiate probably 110, 120 at West Ham. Give him the extra payoff. So you could have accepted a lower bid and just got rid of him. I think it was a bit short-sighted from United, almost whoever's in charge of transfers putting their foot down to say, no, we're going to get as much as we can for Harry Maguire because he plays for England, etc. And it could end up biting you that he's just sitting there on 200k a week. He's going to have to play when there's injuries or cup games. And I just think it's bad for the club. It's bad for Ten Hag and his authority coming in. The good work that happened with getting Ronaldo out of the building. I think it could have a real negative effect on him as a manager as well. So I think it's really short-sighted from United.
I think this is sort of a bit of a special case. Go on.
Just to add, for us neutral fans, Neil, it is going to be funny watching him play because his head is so gone, his confidence. I know hashtag be kind and all that, but he's an absolute mess on the pitch now, isn't he, Trav? It's going to be funny to watch when he gets minutes.
Oh, it's going to be brilliant.
Well, I think it's as clear as day. Ten Hag rattling to get him out. The fee's been agreed with the club, so I'm not saying it's not the club's fault. There's a settlement package that needs sorting, and 9 times out of 10, you don't pay that to the penny. Normally, it's like a gentleman's agreement that you pay half, even 3/4 in some circumstances to get rid of a player. But he's digging his heels in because he thinks he's better than what he is. And he's done this for such a long time. Like, he's got such bad advisors just gassing him to the moon, like how good he thinks he is. And this is where the problem lies. Like, I think he's owed around 15 million or just under. So if United are thinking, well, if we're getting 30 million for him and we've got to pay him 15. We're only getting 15. So it's like, in some ways, I can see where the club are coming from, because I think the club are offering like 8 as a package for him to leave, and he's saying that's too low. So I'm hoping that some negotiation can take place and they can just come to a settlement figure and he leaves, because at the end of the day, as much as I don't like him as a player, he does actually need to play football, because I think his England place finally might be under threat next season with Levi Colwill starting at Chelsea all the time. And it's just literally not fair on all those other English centre-halves like Ben White and players just playing out of the skin, just not getting a look in because of this guy. And it's going to look so embarrassing on Gareth Southgate if he starts Maguire at the next Euros when he's not kicked a ball, because he's like 12th choice centre-half behind Fred the Red and stuff. Like, what? It just can't continue. So
behind the tea lady on your shot today.
This is the thing, like, it's where he's going to go now, because if that West Ham deal's off, I don't know if I believe it's totally off. It looks like it's stalled massively. Or are they looking at other alternatives? I've not seen any names linked with West Ham. But obviously then you've got the injury to Tyrone Mings at Villa as well. And I heard they might be linked with him, but it's a mild link at the moment. I don't think Villa would be in for him personally. I think Villa's too good for him personally, but...
yeah, I think the way Villa play as well, they want to, under Emery, they do want to come out and play a bit from the back. You know, the players they've got, he doesn't suit that. He can't come out and play from the back. You know?
That's the complete opposite of what Harry Maguire offers. Have you got a team that suits like a really slow, lumbering slab head that can really head the ball? What kind of teams? It narrows down the search a little bit.
Not in the Premier League. If you go down the leagues a bit, you might find one.
But the dog is dark on a Sunday.
The thing is, it'll come out in the wash with West Ham, certainly, won't it? If they sign a different target, you know that one's dead and buried. Yeah. And then, you're looking at alternatives then. Teams that maybe need defensive reinforcements. And that brings us on nicely to Arsenal and Jurrien Timber. How heartbreaking is that? Especially from the putting rivalry at one side. I watched him in the Community Shield and I was like, wow, what a player. Put him straight in my FPL team and then, what a nightmare.
I mean, I think he would have had a massive part to play this season. He can play on either side. He can play as an inverted fullback. He can play left. He can play right. He can play as a centre-half. Great on the ball. He's obviously played that style of football under Ajax for a while. He's like I said in the last poddy, he's looked the best of the 3 signings that we've had. I was really excited about him, what he was going to bring to the team offensively as well as defensively. He seems like he's settled into the squad really well. Players have been raving about him all pre-season, how good he is. United were obviously linked with him before they got Martinez. He just looked like a top baller. I was praying that it was just going to be a calf injury and maybe he was going to be out for a short space of time, but that's his season over now. 6-7 months to recover from an ACL. Could be back in April, but it's going to take time to build up. So really, you start looking at Arsenal's transfer window that everybody's been saying is the best business that's happened. And you think you've only really brought in Rice, a DMF, and Havertz, who I know for a lot of people, the jury's out. Where's he going to play? Is he going to play as a 10 or as an 8? Or he needs his confidence rebuilding after a terrible time at Chelsea. And all of a sudden, the window isn't looking that strong for Arsenal. Linked with a few, but I think we do need to get bodies out the door. I saw Tavares has been linked with Nottingham Forest, trying to get a bit of money for him. A couple of Prem clubs now interested in Balogun. That might drive up the price that Arsenal are happy with, 40-45 million. And then, there's a couple more. Tierney looks like he'll probably stay now. He was starting to get heavily linked with Newcastle, but it'd be criminal getting rid of him with Zinchenko's not got the best. I know he only has short spaces out, but the best injury record. He's not probably going to play 50 games this season. All of a sudden, what was a bit of a smug Arsenal fan thinking, actually, we've had a really great window. It's looking a bit light.
Won the window.
Yeah, but you know anyway, because I spoke to you boys in the chat that I felt we needed one more attacker, particularly a winger. I was a bit disappointed when Diaby went to Villa. I think Kudus, you could probably pick him up for 34 million from Ajax. I think if he ended up at somewhere like West Ham, I'd be really disappointed. I just feel they need somebody in that forward position and another defender that can play in a variety of positions, cover for Timber.
They're so difficult to find, those utility defenders, and that's why Timber's such a big blow. I think he's outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And what I liked about him most, the two things, the composure he shows is just ridiculous. Like on the ball, he just knows what he's going to do before he receives the ball. Touch, either foot, just brilliant. And then the second thing is 1v1 defending, because a lot of defenders these days, especially in fullback areas, they're not very good defensively. It's all about the offensive game and getting round and providing assists and stuff. But going at Timber is up there like with the best defensively as well in 1v1 situations. And I think in the short time at Arsenal, he really, really set the world alight with his performances, and the fans will be gutted that he's out. Yeah, I think now, like you said, with Tierney being linked with a move away and Zinchenko's injury record, Tavares being linked with Nottingham Forest, I can't see Tierney going now. Ben White's obviously going to be right back with Tomiyasu. Gabriel's not started this season because of injury as well. So, like you said, a couple of injuries and you can all of a sudden find yourself light. So, would you want a centre half coming in, do you reckon? Or?
Well, I saw they've been linked with Laporte, but I don't think City are going to do any business with us. And I think it's the hard thing. We're talking about Harry Maguire, but when you think out there aren't that many great defenders out there that can play in this new modern role. You know, I heard Carragher saying on Monday Night Football, Liverpool need a defender, but it's, you know,
Laporte.
Who's out? Yeah,
Laporte would be perfect for us.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be perfect for us as well, but I can't see City selling. I mean, stranger things have happened, you know, the arrogance of City, but I can't see them selling again to Arsenal after we ran them so close. So yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of work for Edu and the team. They probably were thinking about bringing one more in, maybe shipping some players off the books and a straightforward winger or attacker to slot into that front six. But now I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Arsenal. I do think they need to do two bits of business before the window's over, particularly with Champions League as well as the Prem this year. We didn't look that convincing against, you know, Forest for, you know, the best part of 40 minutes.
I love that. Spent 200 million. They're still looking to do one or two more bits of business.
Just get them
John
in, get
Henry
those bits in.
And FSG. I despise you with every bone in my body. Travis, we can't go on any longer without talking about Mason Mount. And I seen a compilation on Twitter today of Casemiro getting ran absolutely ragged against Wolves. Did you see it?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Now you've had time to digest it since Monday night. Are you feeling any better or any worse?
I do feel better because I felt awful after Monday night, to be honest, with that performance. Yeah, the word that I want to use is disillusioned. I'm so disillusioned with the sort of the plan going forward. Because after 2 games last season, Ten Hag switched it because De Gea couldn't play out from the back. Then we obviously went with De Gea smashing long balls forward. But when we did try and play out the back, Eriksen dropped in to like that number 6 and got the ball off the centre halves and tried to play. It worked to a certain degree. And then on Monday, he's gone back with these 2 high number 8s playing in between their centre halves and fullbacks and just leaving it to the defence to sort of build up play and run into areas which commits the opposition. It just didn't work. So I know he's only a season into his tenure and he's going to get given another season. I don't know if he's still sussing the league out, but between the manager and the recruitment model, I just think the jury's out on some of the signings. Like, he hasn't got them all bang on. This is literally what I'm trying to say. Like,
can you feel it, Neil? Can you feel it?
Think about it. For me, Casemiro's right. Martinez right. Onana's right. You can say that, well, Onana's only just started, but I think they're going to be certs that they're going to be successful. Martinez, without a doubt, has been successful. I think Casemiro has been successful. I don't think the jury's been out on him. I know you said he's old, but he performed well last season. And I think Onana will do the same. But then, and Malacia as a squad player is not bad. But then when I think about the rest, Weghorst, Sabitzer, Anthony at 80 million, like, I'm undecided on him. Do you know what I mean? So, and Mason Mount as well, for the type of player and the profile we needed in that area. So out of those 7 signings, like over half of them, you would say he's probably got wrong at this moment in time, unless Mason Mount proves himself to be right. So it just, to me, who's buying the players, who's deciding on those signings, to me, they sound a little bit like Ten Hag signings, because a lot of them are either ex-players or we liked them while he was in Holland. And it goes back, it begs the question. We need that director of football. We need that recruitment model like Man City do, like Edu at Arsenal. They've got most of the signings bang on in the last couple of years, and United need that model, and it is stressing me out a little bit.
I think after watching Monday night's game, and I've seen your cousin say it on Twitter as well, it's like there's no purpose to the play. There's no structure. There's no patterns of play. It's like get it up to the wingers, try to get a bit of pace on the go with Rashford and Antony or Garnacho, and then defend for your lives.
Yeah,
the
cohesion's terrible. Because when you go back to his Ajax days, his back four was Blind, Timber, Martinez, Missouri, and Onana. So you think of that back five in terms of the technical ability and how they can play and how they can carry the ball with one of those inverting. So Timber was doing exactly the same as what he was doing at Arsenal, inverting, creating two like sixes basically as a pivot. And if the ball broke down, those five were more than capable of stopping counterattacks. Whereas we just haven't got the technical ability across the back line, and we haven't got the recovery in midfield. Because Mason Mount, like Declan Rice, if you think about the Charity Shield, I think that clip went viral on Twitter where Rice made a recovery run over like 15, 20 yards and tackled someone and just popped it off to a centre half. Who's doing that in our team?
Literally not even Casemiro. The clips, the compilation, I know obviously over 90 minutes, this was only a 2-minute compilation, but it was almost embarrassing. He looked like a little boy lost.
Yeah.
And if you're 31 years old in the Premier League, you can very quickly look like you've aged overnight, can't you?
Yeah. And he needs some... I mean, when he's at Real Madrid, he's always had either like the optimum technicians around him, Cruz, Modric, don't give it away, don't have to do much running, or he's got a load of legs like Valverde, Camavinga and Tchouaméni, those type of players. That's what's around him all the time. At United, he just hasn't got the same setup. So he's doing a lot more work than he's probably used to. I bet he's knackered after like 50 minutes every game, to be honest. I bet he is.
I mean, he looked like that in the Wolves game when I was watching it. I was thinking he's doing a lot of work, but obviously he's not covering that much ground, and he kind of looked all at sea. I don't think it's all completely his fault, but I do think Scott's right that same with this Endo coming in, the Prem is a vicious place and can catch up on you quickly. You can look like a baller one season and you have that summer break and all of a sudden 30, 31, 32, particularly in midfield, the game's gone away from you. It's a fright. It's an unforgiving league in that way. But I think, like you said, for me, the outside looking in, the recruitment hasn't been right. I don't think you've got the right players around, say Casemiro, your midfield. I thought Mount was a strange one when you went in for him.
Yeah.
You know, United can get anyone. I think you could have gone in for a Tchouaméni or somebody and put big money in. And with Bellingham going the other way, you might have got one of those players, one of two of them, or Valverde, which I think would have been better than Mount. More experience, more high-level experience in big European competitions, particularly now you're back in the Champions League. And I've just found the recruitment a bit strange. Like from the outside looking in, it's like United needed to get away from this model of we're just going to get these shirt-selling players and that's a good marketing, Paul Pogba or whoever. And it just feels like you've
England
not done that.
International, ticks the boxes. I mean, we said it when you signed him, didn't we, Trav? I mean, he was linked with Liverpool. I didn't want him. I was glad we didn't get him. He's gone to you. You've questioned from day one how he's going to fit into this team, whether it suits the style of play that Ten Hag's trying to implement. Daniel's back in the comments say Casemiro's like Thiago Silva, old but gold. That is true. He's top draw, but like on Monday night, it was almost like with this compilation when he'd be a bit out of position, it'd go past him. It'd almost be like he looked for his mate to back him up, and there was just no one there.
Yeah.
And that brings you on to this. Did you see that stat that TalkSport posted?
About Mount, 0 and everything.
No tackles, no headers, no assists, no goals,
no interceptions,
no duels won. And Mason Mount's brother went in on TalkSport on his Instagram story.
He's just not a midfielder, though. He's not a midfielder. So I feel
that's the thing. When he was linked to Liverpool, I was like, we don't need him in the front three.
Nah.
Where does he play? He's like Anthony Martial, Neil. We still don't know where his best position, and he's like 26, 27.
He's coming back this year, by the way, Martial. This is his year.
How old is he? Martial's older than that now. He must be 29 now.
I think Martial was a year below Casemiro in school. But yeah, where do Man United go from here? Basically, you need the next game to come thick and fast. You could do without playing Spurs away, couldn't you? Let's put it that way.
I mean, no matter what you say, games are won and lost in midfield. They really are. Do you know what I mean? They genuinely are. And I mean, I watched the Spurs game against Brentford as well, and Basuma came into the team, a player that I was sort of raving about last year, didn't get much of an opportunity under the previous manager, and he played and he was outstanding against Brentford. So we've got a battle on our hands, and we've got to get this midfield blend right. And I know Scotty's sort of banged on about McTominay and said he was a decent player, and I used to hammer him, hold my hands up for that. He's not unbelievable, but when he first started his United career under Jose did love him. He liked McTominay a lot. Under Ollie, he played as 2 6s. Asking him to get the ball off the back four is not his game. He doesn't start attacks like that. It's not his kind of game, but he's got a good engine. We might have to revert to something like having him next to Casemiro if we can't get Amrabat over the line for now, until we get that deal done, just to tighten up the midfield a bit. Because like you said, we can't have counter-attack. Well, it wasn't just counter-attacks. Wolves dominated the game, to be honest with you. They attacked at will. But the counter-attacks, they look really dangerous. And we need somebody in there that can stop that. I think we've got to change the way we play. If it doesn't work on Saturday, I don't think we've got the technical ability to start inverting fullbacks and stuff. Like Wan-Bissaka centre mid trying to spray it about. It just looks like a spider, doesn't it? Just a load of legs everywhere. It's just never going to work. We haven't got.
He got a good assist on Monday night.
He did, but like it's the consistency though. Like, and that's the thing about a lot of the United's players. You see it in glimpses. Sometimes they look good, sometimes they look really bad, and you just don't know which player you're going to get on the day. And even Garnacho, a young player who's done fantastic recently, he got locked up by Semedo, couldn't get past him at all, and he's going to get that because he's a young lad. But again, I think we've just got to be 100% sure. I think Ten Hag has got to be 100% sure on what way he wants to play and stick with it for 5 to 10 games. So if it's these 2 high 8s and he's got confidence in our 2 fullbacks starting play and inverting and making things happen, then stick with it for 10 games, even if the results aren't going to go that way. I don't think we can play that way personally. I think he's going to revert back to fullbacks, like sort of overlapping, staying wide, one solid player next to Casemiro. I think Mount will start holding the bench soon, and we'll go back to type from last season.
Daniel says Mount had seemed to given up at Chelsea after a few poor games, and to be honest, stayed poor. Do you know what Dan from Two Blues said? Exactly the same. Every time we do a bit of a short or mention Mason Mount, he's like, I don't think Trav realizes the kind of baller he's signed. He's not box to box. He's not going to be building up play. Well, to be honest, I think Trav knows that now. After one game, we've all written him off.
I knew he wasn't that anyway.
But listen, cheers for the nod about McTominay. I know a certified baller when I see one. So cheers for conceding that I've been right for the last 2 years on him. But
calm down. He's not certified. He's not certified. He's
exactly what you need at the minute. You need a double pivot number 6 with Casemiro, height, strength, aggression. This could be a reprieve for McTominay. Is that why you've rejected the bid?
Nah, I don't think it's that. I think, see, there's a divide with McTominay. I'd say it's more 60-40 towards him being sold, but it's for the right price. And a lot of the United, there's a big section of United fans that just want him gone at any cost. I don't sit in that bracket. I think if he is going to go with the going rate and what I'm seeing bids in for other midfielders like Conor Gallagher at Chelsea, who actually did well against Liverpool, by the way, but they rejected 40 million for him. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, Scott McTominay's got decent stocks, Champions League, Scottish International. I say that loosely because if you're born there, you can play there if you're half decent. But
you've thrown Kieran Tierney in after 2 years.
Yeah, I don't think he should be going for any less than 35 minimum. Do you know what I mean? West Ham put in 30, we rejected it, and I think that was fine.
And that's the Amrabat price, isn't it?
Yeah, Amrabat's
straight swap.
Yeah, 35, yeah. And that's what people are saying. Well, why don't we just sell him and get Amrabat? But I don't know. I mean, I think the manager likes McTominay as well. I think your squad needs to be made up of players who are willing to rotate as well. You don't need a load of superstars just wanting to play all the time, causing upset in the dressing room. McTominay's from the academy. He doesn't cause any force. He'll sit there and he'll play when required. And I think you need those types of players sometimes.
Which is what I always told you, didn't I? When you were slagging off Henderson and Wijnaldum, saying there's no flair in there, I was like, you need industrial ballers in that centre midfield who are going to win the ball back, recycle the ball, help the defence. But that's going to be a massive game on Sunday against Spurs, especially being away from home. If Wolves were carving through you at OT, imagine what it's going to be like away from home. I wonder if he's going to, like we say, change the personnel, change the formation slightly, give Casemiro a bit of help. But yeah, I'm going to look forward to another big weekend of ball. Lads, that's 45 minutes. Cheers for joining. If anyone's made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out a lot. We're nearly at 1,300 subscribers. We're going to be back to do a weekend preview, maybe tomorrow. I don't know if you boys are free, maybe Saturday morning or something. We'll work something out. See when we're free.
Yeah.
Trav, Neil, thanks so much for joining me. And everyone else.
Did you notice I didn't mention net spend once for you, Scotty? Just I just want to make sure I get invited back every once in a while. Do you know you don't want to poke the hornet's nest too much. I mean, I've got a whole full list of fixtures, times, players that he's brought in, net spend, wages, the lot. And I thought I'll leave that for today. I'll leave it for today.
To be honest, Neil, I did do a tweet the other day. Travis, did you see it? Net spend for the last 3 years.
I did see
In euros, Chelsea have spent 580 million euros in the last 3 years. Arsenal have spent 501 million euros in the last 3 years. Manchester United have spent 485 million euros in the last 3 years. Would anyone like to take a guess at how much Liverpool have spent in the last 3 years?
If we save this for another podcast, because I've got a lot to go down on this net spend, trust me. So let's not get into that rabbit hole just at the end of the pod.
Well, to be honest, I've been thinking.
If we have that EastEnders music going now, dun, how much did Liverpool spend? Dun, 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 dun. Catch us next time in the body.
Well, to be honest, lads, I was thinking the other day, I'm not sure if onto the ball is the right word. You know, we always say, right, how's the family? Right, onto the ball. And now we've called the channel Onto the Ball. I was thinking, what if we change the channel name to the Net Spend? Got a ring to it, hasn't it? You think it'll be catchy? People will remember the name.
Schmacker will subscribe straight away.
Right, lads. Listen,
cheers,
thanks
lads.
for joining us.
Weekend,
seven watchers still. Thanks for joining the Net Spend. We'll see you on the next episode of the Net Spend. And cheers. Right, cheers, lads. See you later.
Cheers. See you later.
Header. But Gerrard! Oh, you beauty!